network and get to the closest people of power and people who are doing things and meet them and get an opportunity to meet everybody you can.
And build relationships, because you build relationships.
And that's how I met Jerry Alce.
So now I want to open up a Resurrection Boulevard.
Okay.
What was the inciting incident that got the idea for you?
Well, I had written a script, a pilot called La Reforma, which is my wonder years growing up in Tucson. And it helped me get haul high in the first script, my first job on a series. But it also, when Showtime, Jerry Alce at Showtime, wanted to do a Latino show.
So Jerry Alce was the head of Showtime at the time, and he was so generous with talent of color. He really nurtured talent of color.
Yes. I met Jerry, Debbie was at ABC and Jerry was at ABCP, and then I did McKenna with Gil at ABCP, so Jerry Alce and I became friends. And we would go play basketball. I was a good ball player in those days. We'd go play in the basement under ABC. There was a Spectrum Club under there. And it was Jerry Alce and Mark Zachrin, and Gary Levine, who's now the president of Showtime, and Mark Pedowitz, who is the CEO of CW. All these guys, and this is the other thing that needs to happen. You need to, what would you call it?
Network, branch out.
Network, and get to the closest people of power and people who are doing things, and meet them and get an opportunity to meet everybody you can.
And build relationships, because you build relationships.
And that's how I met Jerry Alce. And so Jerry went to Showtime. He wanted to do a Latino show. He started Soul Food. He started Queer as Folk. He wanted to service all the audiences that were underserved.
Yes, he was doing Latinos. Diversity. He was the master of diversity before there were any diversity programs.
And he doesn't get enough credit for
Yes, Jerry is amazing.
And Jerry had an agenda to put a Latino show on the air. So I always teased him and Mark. I go, they hired me because they didn't know any other Mexicans. Because their gardeners were Japanese. I teased them about that. But they hired me because I was the only Mexican they knew, really. Although, not really. But the only Mexican writer they knew. And so I gave them La Reforma, and Jerry said, this is great, we love it, but it's not for Showtime because it's too sweet. So I took the family, and I was watching Showtime, and the boxing match came on. And I married the family drama with the boxing match, and we got Resurrection Boulevard.
Wow.
Now I want to tell you why Resurrection is called Resurrection. Because there's some other people who think that it, including, I won't go into that. They think it has something to do with Resurrection Gym, which is in East LA. It has nothing to do with Resurrection Gym. It has everything to do with resurrection of the human spirit. It's a theme. I had written a short story years ago before Resurrection Boulevard called The Resurrection of Hercules, Montana. And it's a very sweet story, but so resurrection has always been a theme with me. And that's why it's called that. But that's how I got Jerry wanted to do it. And so I went back to them. I pitched the boxing with the family drama and all these characters. Bibi is an amalgam of all my mom and her friends.
And Bibi was Elizabeth Peña's role.
Elizabeth Peña's role. all these strong, feisty, fiery Latinas that were just, they didn't take crap from anybody.
So you take Resurrection Boulevard and you pitch it to Showtime, and now they buy it.
Right?
So what is that feeling for you? You have been a writer all this time, but now you have been bumped up to EP. Now you are the creator, and now you're coming in as the executive producer.
Right. I was a co-producer. I
Oh,
was
when you-
never a producer. I was a co-producer,
Okay.
and I never. And so then when they asked me to write the pilot, they were a little bit. I teased Zachary about this because he came back and goes, "Wow, this is really good." I said, "Well, what did you expect? Did I turn it a piece of crap?" And he goes, "Well, we didn't know. You're a young writer. We didn't know." And they loved it, and they gave it to me. They let me write it, produce it, do everything. But later, when we got the series, they said, "We want you to hire another EP who has worked on the series so that we have a little bit of insurance and we feel comfortable giving you a show of your own because you've never done it." I said, "Okay." And that's where I got Bob Isley. Isley came. He's been an old friend of our family for a long time. And so I said, "Bob, come do this with me." And it broke my heart a little bit because I would have done it with Gil Grant because I love Gil dearly. He's one of my dearest people to me. And he taught me so much and he gave me so much opportunity. But at that point, I needed to cut the apron strings. I needed to show everyone I could do this on my own. Otherwise, they'd never, So anyway, I brought Isley on, and Bob became my partner, and we did, we put Resurrection on the air.
So what was the casting process for you for the original characters? Because the thing about Resurrection Boulevard is that you hired almost every Latino actor in Hollywood. Everybody, almost,
Did you ever
except
come
for
in?
me, almost
Did you?
everybody. I didn't get to come in. No,
Seriously, you never
I
came
didn't
in.
get to come in and read for that. No, but
Don't feel bad.
oh no, I don't.
Wait, stop.
I don't feel
You're
bad
in
at
good
all.
company. There's all kinds of people coming after me still. I mean, you interviewed Rick Naheda. He's always giving me crap about it. Jay Montalvo gives me crap about it. All these guys who never got on the show. And I said, I only had 3 seasons. If we had 4 or 5, 6, you'd have come on.
But what
Come
you
on.
did was incredible. Because what you did was something we did not have. So you gave Latinos something to be proud of and something to, just talk shit about. Like, yeah, we got Resurrection Boulevard. So
Yeah.
I think I get goosebumps thinking of that because you really brought in everybody from young actors like Nick Gonzalez to all these people, and my brain is going, but all these people, and then you brought in the elders. You brought in Rita Moreno. You brought in Henry Darrow. You really brought in excellence, and it's wonderful. It is, I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of the show. I'm proud of the work that you've done with that you were able to do with that show, and so many actors were able to then go on and have really nice careers.
Thank you. One of my proudest moments is when I got Elizabeth Pena together with Isai Morales and Lou Diamond Phillips. They're all part of the family, and I just, to have them all together again after La Bamba was just one of my best moments. And yes, we worked with Rita Moreno, and I could go on, and I just loved working with all of them. Ruben Blades.
Did Ruben get to have a scene with Bibi?
I don't. She may have come in the backyard because he plays a homeless person who Ruben, then played by Daniel Zacapa.
Uh-huh.
He finds him out on the street and he brings him and he lets him camp out in the backyard of the Santiago home. And Roberto goes crazy. He's like, "What are you bringing home homeless people for?" And but Ruben turns out to be somebody who we don't expect. And I love doing that with the show. We did that on Most Americans.
Yes.
People you think they're one thing and they're really not that.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And but Ruben plays and Henry Darrow, who played Manolito on High Chaparral and a million other things. He was the grandfather with Rita, who was the grandmother, and Hector Elizondo. I love Hector.
Hector's the best. Hector.
I mean,
Hector played my father. Hector played my father on a TV movie called Honey Boy, which starred Eric Estrada. And
oh wow!
Yeah, Hector Hector taught me how to save stuff for camera. Because
Wow.
we would be rehearsing, and I would be crying and doing these emotional scenes. And then at one point, he came up to me and said, "Save it for the camera. Just talk it
Right.
through, and then do it when the camera goes on." And that was one of the best lessons I got.
Yeah, no, I got the same lesson with Lou Diamond Phillips. I shot a master, a wide, when I was it's my second episode, first starting to direct. And
Now, did you get to direct the first and second episode?
No. Jesus directed the pilot,
Okay.
the 2-hour movie.
Jesus
And then
Trevino. Just for
I
clarity.
didn't direct till the second and third season.
Okay, but just for clarity, it was Jesus Trevino.
Yes.
Okay.
Jesus, yes. But when I started directing, I done the same thing because Lou, I'm shooting wide, and Lou is crying, and I mean, boogers are coming out of his nose. Lou Diamond Phillips is one of the best actors alive. He is fantastic, and people don't realize how good he is. And then as we got closer and closer, he sort of ran out of fluid. So I learned that we should shoot the close-ups first and then go wide. So you learn that.
Yes. Yes.
Save it for the camera.
You're not taught that. So
Hey, let me ask you, did Bob Moronis never ask you to come in?
Oh no, because me and Bob got into it early on. Because Bob
That's why you're never on the show.
Bob could be a special one. He was a little slimy, and I would call him out. He would do some stupid shit, and I would call him out. So then he wouldn't call me for any of the projects he did. And then I would go and make up and bring him a gift. I didn't apologize, but I would bring him a gift. And then the last thing I auditioned for him for, and then that was it, was the Oliver Stone movie, Salvador. I think it was Salvador. And what happened was, Oliver Stone had us come at 8 a.m. for a general at 8 a.m. Didn't tell us anything about the project, just wanted to meet people. So I get there at 8 a.m, and it's like a busload of women come in. Maybe 4 of us were working actors, and the other ones were people that Bob found at the mall, at the tennis court, on the bus, at the bus stop. So I'm sitting there, and now it's like 9:15, and And Oliver Stone comes out into the lobby. He's reading a paper. He's chatting with the receptionist, and we're still waiting. And so now I'm starting to get a little annoyed because I'm like, wait a minute. First of all, this is like a cattle call almost, in that they're bringing in everybody. They're not, it's bad enough as Latino actors we don't get
any respect.
Yeah. So now I'm really getting revved up. I'm sitting there and I'm like, ah. So I walk in, and then I'm trying to calm myself down. I walk in, I hand Oliver Stone my resume, my picture. He doesn't look at it. He just looks at me. He goes, "So do you speak Spanish?" Well, that was the fuse that blew up everything. Because I said, if you would turn the resume, if you would turn the picture around, look at my resume, then you would know. And he said, "Why you busting my balls?" I said, "Because your balls need to be busted. You have me come here at 8 o'clock. It's now 9:30. And you don't even have the decency to look at my resume before you ask me a question." So that was it. So we went off. It was like a fight, and then Bob called my agent and was like, she disrespected me, and I was like, wait a minute, they disrespected me. It was like, don't do that. We're all artists. Treat us all with respect. So that was the last I went in for Bob. That was it.
Well, I would have cast you.
Thank you, Dennis. I know you would. So that was my Bob Mahones story. And that was the other thing. I used to call him Bob Mahones. So we just did not, he and I.
Well, I love Bob, but I know that he had his issues with actors. And so he only worked 2 seasons. The last season I got Simon and Beth, Simon Ayers,
yes.
And Beth Heinzen.
Yes, and they were wonderful. They were wonderful people. So let me ask you about, because you had so many amazing actors on Resurrection Boulevard, and one of them was the award-winning Louis Gossett Jr., who you had come into the boxing club. What was that for you? Because that must have been a big deal.
Well, he's an Oscar winner, so I mean, it's a big time. It's like Rita walking on the set, and I just love Lou. And it's a funny thing, in the 3rd season, when Lou came on, at the end of it, he's going, he came into my office, and he goes, "We need to go talk to Jerry Offsay and tell him we need another season." And I thought, oh, Lou, you're so great. Here he is, he's fighting for my show. Of course, it's his show then. And he was so good. He was so good. He didn't have to act. He just showed up. And that's how good he was. Mm-hmm. And I thought we created a good character for him as an old fighter who went to prison. And because he was with a white woman. And we don't tell that backstory, except sort of we allude to it. And but that's what it was all about. And he was just great. I loved him. And I still love him.
And how was it working with Rita Moreno and Henry Darrow?
Oh my God, Henry is the best. Rita is the best. I remember Rita, we went to see her. She did a one-woman show at Pepperdine after we wrapped, and we went to dinner, and she told me, she said, "You are the best producer I've ever worked with."
Oh.
And I thought, I have made it. That's all I need is for Rita Moreno to validate me. That's all I need. And I thought, oh my God, Rita Moreno. And I think there's a picture that I sent you of me giving her a kiss at one of her shows. I just love her dearly. And she was so good as a grandmother. And Henry was so good as a grandfather. Everybody was just, I mean, they're wonderful. They're all wonderful. Yeah. I wish we could have had more uh, people. We had gone 5, 6, 8, 10 seasons.
What what were a few of your takeaways from doing that show for you personally?
All the people that I met and subsequently met through the show. Um, I mean, obviously, people like you, who I love dearly, and then, um, uh, I mean, I got to meet. Sometimes I think I'm like Forrest Gump because I've met so many people. I mean, Joe Frazier, uh, Sugar Ray Leonard, Carlos Palomino. I mean, you go on and on. All the boxers, all the world champions, all the people. Um, uh, Brian Austin Green was great. I mean, everybody. Uh, the takeaways. I've had a very special life, and I've done a lot of things, and not just producing shows, but I've been able to work in baseball. I've been a stuntman. I've done a lot. And then in Hawaii, I met all kinds of people. I mean, Tim Matheson, who I met at Old Tucson, and then in Hawaii, and then he came to me. He wanted to direct an episode of Resurrection,
Wow.
and we would have given it to him in the fourth year, but we didn't make it to fourth year.
So, when did you start? This is just a side note, but when did you start playing golf?
Oh, my dad, and this is a great story. My dad said, when I was in junior high school, he said, you're going to learn two things. You're going to learn to type, and you're going to learn to play golf. He goes, typing will serve you all your life, and golfing is what businessmen do. And lots of business is done on the golf course. So later on, I thought, I don't want to play golf. There's baseball and football and basketball. Golf is like for sissies. But my dad said, you're going to learn to play golf. So I learned to play golf. And then when I was a senior, I needed 2 classes to graduate. And my dad said, have you taken typing? And I go, no. He goes, get a typing class. So I was a senior with all these freshman girls in typing. And what do I do now? I golf and I type.
That's fantastic.
My dad was like so prescient. He knew something. I don't know what the hell he knew, but he knew something.
Yeah, he set you on the right course.